Okay, let's see if I
But
can
yeah,
fix
either
it.
way, I think it's gonna be interesting today since we finally are on day 2 on the first Apac regional,
That was
and
frozen.
we today have 2 matches planned. I already said that Apac is just gonna be all over the place, and
Yep.
it kind of was. The statement was true, because for today we literally have the seed number 2, seed number 4, and seed number 7 who made it to day 2. It's not like 1, 2, 3. It's just 2, 4, 7.
It's
So
it's
yeah, it
interesting
shows that
that
Apac is quite well done.
it's interesting that seed number 1 didn't make it in the end. Who was actually seed number 1 in the original standings?
Seed number 1, since the way how seeding works in Trackmania for regionals is based off matchmaking standings, the seed number 1 was actually Kelvasum and Cobra, who were only in the top 6 of the brackets out of these 8 players.
Hmm.
Kimi Pixels were seed number 2. Today, what we saw, Kuda Spark, who are currently waiting in the grand finals, are seed number 4, who recently got picked up by Vobi, which is the first signage of an Asian team in Trackmania in a very, very, very long time. So love to see that. Would love to see also more orgs jumping into Trackmania action as well, especially in these new and up and coming regions. But yeah, today what's gonna happen is that we have 2 matches. We will have the lower bracket final, which is gonna be Mujiki or the Eastern Russian duo against the Le Fish fan club, which is Pixels and Kimi. Pixels is actually a Turkish player who lives in Vietnam. So since he currently lives in the region, he's taking part with Kimi, who is from Hong Kong. So we're quite a diverse region here in APAC, and I feel like also most of the time we see Koreans, Japanese, or Australians in APAC regions in some other games, but this time there's a quite unique type of nationalities being represented in Trackmania so far.
It is going to be very interesting, especially LaFish. Coming into yesterday, they had an off match with Mujiki, and that match didn't go well for them, but they were able to fight their way through and get themselves back into that lower bracket final. We'll actually go and look at the brackets now. As you can see from yesterday's result, you see that Bedge wiped out Curse Purple early, and Juice Racing just finished the job. See you later, Curse Purple. Bedge got into the fight with Vobi, and it didn't go too well for them. Vobi wiped them 4-0, and Bedge had to move to the lower final. So they put up a good fight against LaFish Fan Club, but LaFish pulled it out in the end and were able to move forward against Asia Overdrive. That was a really good match to watch. Such a close race, but in the end, LaFish were able to pull through 4-2 and move themselves into the final. Obviously, the upper bracket, we had Vobi and Mujiki, but Vobi proved their dominance in why they are the first Asia OS organization to pick up players and move themselves into the grand final. So we've got 2 great matches going on today. Moving into match 1 with Majiki and LaFish, what's your prediction?
I already saw that Mujiki was looking quite solid, but one thing to mention, the pick and ban has already happened. As we're trying to be very, very snappy because I got frozen a bit. A bit missed out on that. But yeah, so far that seems like that the map order is going to be that we'll be starting on slowdown, then we're going to jump to agility dash, then slippy slides, arrow pipes, back and forth parkour, and freestyle as the decider. There's going to be gyroscope and flip of fate at warband. So yeah, slowdown, agility dash, slippy slides are going to be the first 3 maps. This will be decider ones. We have seen that Mujiki has definitely to be the one duo that has really gained and has basically fought themselves into the top 3 of this regional, mainly due to their consistency comparing to the rest of the players, even doing some solid times here and there. But yeah, either way, we're going to be starting our first match of today from all of the World Tour on day 2 of week 2. And it's going to be Mujiki, Haytone and SQLC versus Lefish Fan Club, which is Kimi and Pixels. And the slowdown is going to be our first map today. And we're going to see the winner of this map. Apologies, winner of this match will go to the grand finals and will be rewarded with at least 5 World Tour points and a bit of prize money on the side as a bonus as well. While the loser will go out in day 2 with only 3 World Tour points.
And that's definitely what you want. So at the start of the first round, all the players are going to be trying to stick as close together as possible. Pixels taking an early lead out of it. You got Kimi fighting there as well, but seems to be a bit of a slowdown from Pixels. That's not going to be advantageous in day 1, as you do see Pixels trying to catch up with the rest of the pack. Kimi putting up a good fight towards the front there, with SQLC actually managing to get a bit of speed off that into the bobsled. Kimi seems to be holding steady. Pixels still trying to catch up. Haytone's currently trying to make a move on it, and SQLC goes on the inside line, close to clipping the sign, has to brake hard, and that's not a good mistake for him as Kimi just makes his way forward. Haytone right in pursuit, ready to overtake and make some moves. But it doesn't seem there's going to be a difference. Pixels is still trying to catch up to SQLC, but doesn't seem to be making any progress. Haytone actually moving into first place over Kimmy through the identity, and that's going to be a handy win for him. First place, Kimmy second, SQLC third, and that's the first victory for Majiki.
Yeah, so this is one of the rounds that when I personally play matchmaking, we call it the warm-up round. When it's like, okay, we took the L here, and yeah, we go next. Now the match starts. But Mujiki still has the advantage of the first round. Definitely we had the way more consistency as Pixels didn't have the best of starts, but we jump into the next round so far. As currently, as I mentioned, that Mujiki are the one that look out more consistent. Kimi was a bit like all over the place during yesterday, kind of what made him quite all over the place a bit here and there. As SQLC gets the first mistake from the Russian duo so far and gives a great opportunity for the Fish fan club to get his first points on the board so far, to get them into at least a tying, equalizing the scoreline so far. Pixels is starting to challenge Haytone a bit. It seems like that Haytone had a small clip inside, and currently LaFish fan club is aiming to get an ace in this round.
They're definitely looking handy with the ace, seeing SQLC back a few corners, and Haytone now entering the identity. They have a pretty handy lead, and Haytone runs into the tree, becomes a lumberjack. See you later, you ain't gonna catch up. That's an ace full of fish. Good start for them, and interestingly enough, I do believe this was Mujiki's pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yesterday Mujiki was looking quite solid here, where they were quite dominant even against a team that's currently awaiting in the grand finals, Vobi. They were doing consistent 57 pace, but you know, since seems like they're not currently in their form as it was yesterday so far, but there are still a bunch of rounds to play. One thing to mention that why is this happening? Why is this being played out in the first place? So with the new introduction of the Rotor system, there are no regionals within the ecosystem, and the top one after the stage, top one team from Apac will be facing off in the All-Star event. It's kind of the mini major basically against all the TMGL teams, the number one teams from other regions, and top 4 TMCL teams, and as well the top 2 teams from this region will be going to the minor or the TMCL promo relegation tournament. As well, top 4 teams after this from this basically whole year concludes will be invited to the World Championship as well.
The World Championship is going to be some exciting stuff, especially if we can see some APAC representation. But with that clip from Pixels, that is not looking very likely for LaFish as he goes flying off the identity. It's going to be SQLC and Kimmy in the front dueling, but Kimmy isn't able to catch up. That's going to be a victory for Majiki, and that's not going to be looking good for LaFish.
Yeah, so far it's been a bit all over the place. In theory, of course, as mentioned, Mujiki is the more consistent duo, but this time doesn't seem like it. They're very, very equal in the way how they're playing the game so far. It seems like that it's kind of split in 2 halves. That there's the consistent part of the duo, basically who gets top 2 kind of thing. Yeah, we'll see what happens so far. LaFish fan club, despite are in a bit ahead on Mujiki's own pick a bit. But we'll see how everything goes. SULC got that nice bump right there. It gets a bit more momentum, but you have too much speed, so you have to oversteer a bit during that third turn. But Haytone is a bit behind so far. Seems like the Pixels, SQLC, and Kimi are currently fighting. SQLC getting a bit too wide of a line allows Pixels to get a bit of that overtake, as they're now trying to aim for the ace in this round, trying to aim for those 8.4 scoreline after this round so far. Coming to the identity, Haytone gets the airtime, has to respawn. Now it's only SQLC who can deny the ace so far, but it doesn't seem like it. He does more momentum, but it's not enough, and LaFish fan club secure an ace in their pockets.
That's definitely going to be handy for them, doubling the scoreline of Mujiki, and that's going to be handy moving on. If they're able to get a victory or an ace here, they're just going to move to the next track. 1-0 victory straight out of the gate is going to be so handy for them as they move into the next map, which should be their pick, so they should be on their home turf ready to strike. And it was Agility Dash next, so they know it's going to be a hard one, not just in the main track, but the identity being one of the hardest in the Easy series. It's going to be interesting to see how they go, knowing that this is the first match of the day. They haven't really had time to warm up, unless they've gotten in call early and trained for a while.
I mean, for some of these guys, this is also their first competition experience, so it's you know, can bring a bit of nerves, a bit of handshakes a bit here and there. And so far, it does seem like that Mujiki are looking a bit shaky here and there. They're definitely not their last form a bit. But the LaFish are starting to step up their game as they were a bit more the inconsistent one, because both of these teams did manage to meet yesterday as well. But it's not enough as, again, Hayton had to respawn and it allows Pixels to get the overtake and they secure an ace and their first map win in this matchup. One thing to mention is that, yeah, yesterday they did manage to face off against each other. And it was the very first match of the day as well, and it was Mujiki winning it 4-1. But will it be the opposite this time around? Because they got more used to the environment, more to use the competition. And this time more, the stakes are here as well.
Indeed. And even with the victory, if Hayton had kept his consistency at the end of that round, it still would have been a victory, still in the Fish's favor. Pixels was just handy on that map, but we do get started with Agility Dash, and it does not appear my chat disappears, so apologies in advance to everyone as we do get started with Agility Dash. This is a fast-paced map, so it's going to be mistakes that a small clip here and there, a crash here and there, you are gone. You have no way of catching up. You have to hit your respawns and make sure you can get those lines right.
I won't really say so like that, but I feel like in Apac, at least, definitely, is that if you do make a mistake, since the map is so lengthy, you still have a good chance of a comeback. And especially the way how the identity is done, especially in this region. So there is a chance that even if there is a small clip on here where something, you can still potentially come back, but we'll see. This is top 3 after all. So I feel like there's not going to be that much room to catch up, but we have seen that happen in the EU regionals as well even. But yeah, so far that LaFish fan club are definitely looking as the stronger duo today, as SQLC is a bit behind, but Hayton definitely tries to be in front of Pixels so far, trying to at least pull out the draw sort of the map too, as this was the pick for LaFish fan club, at least in this specific matchup. Seems like the SQLC is a bit starting to catch up a bit, but the tops scene is not, let's just say, having a small dent, no mistakes so far. The positions are a bit kept. Hayton gets a bit of airtime, allows Kimi to get an overtake. Kimi a bit too much airtime, tries to get the low jump, but SQLC does it really well. And now we have a very equalized 1v1 so far coming into the identity. Pixels trying to keep it safe at the stride. Hayton really pushes it, and it's not enough. And Pixels maintains the lead. Kimi in third, and SQLC is thus one who blunders. And this will be a 2-1 opener for LaFish fan club.
That is a solid opener for these guys. Going up 2-1 is going to be really handy. And Mujiki would be like shaking in their boots, knowing that straight away they're on the back foot here. 2-1 up. They know they have to fight even harder to catch up and make sure they can take the map away from LaFish. Otherwise, it's basically GG for them.
We'll see how everything goes, but it can still go either way so far. We still have a lot of let's just say a lot of game to be played. And but so far, yeah, comparing to like day 1, Apac is looking a bit more consistent on this map. At least it was just 1 round, but I'm kind of surprised as, of course I say that, yeah, something happened. But Kimi has a small mistake, but it's nothing too major. Like one big mishap at the identity completely like turned the leaderboard upside down. Pixels and Hayton currently at the top. SQLC had a way better turn, allows to take over his compassion, but also allows Kimi to get in closer for the second and third position so far in this round. Pixel still trying to maintain the lead. Kimi gets way more speed in that section right there, allows to get the overtake on Hayton, currently contesting for a victory, but he had to readjust his drift and currently gets in a draw formation so far. Pixels is leading the field, but the field is very close. He didn't get the drift, and SQLC falls down back to the pack, as now Pixels is trying to approach the identity. Kimi as well. We haven't seen that many mistakes so far, but let's see what happens right now. Pixels trying to lead the field. He relatively saves it, has a small release, trying to keep it safe, but Hayton risks it, overtakes Kimi. It won't be an ace, but it will be a victory instead for LaFish fan club, and their scoreline will be 4-2. SQLC definitely not looking that great today on this map, and it's kind of costing Mujiki some important points right here.
Definitely seems like a tactical pick from LaFish there, knowing that Pixels has had this consistency so far. The tide could turn, you know, Pixels could have a bad round, he could be put out of it, especially with the start where he's going into 4th position, but seeing his consistency on this map, it does appear that he picked it just to make sure that Mujiki would be scared, knowing it's one of their weaknesses and being able to capitalize on that. And moving up to 4-2 this early on is handy for them, knowing that they've got that advantage. They have that little bit of a wiggle room to have maybe one bad round. And that one bad round could be a mistake from Pixels. It could be where they both end up, going third and fourth and getting aced. At the same time, they're in a handy position. They could afford to get one mistake on this map. But judging from the fact that we're seeing a respawn from Pixels, it does not look good for them. But Kimmy is still at the front. He could make this a draw. We'll have to see how we go towards the back of the map where Kimmy is taking that inside line, trying to keep up with Hetone. Hetone is keeping a lot of pace through these corners, knowing that Kimmy's ready to pounce on any little mistake. Kimmy goes a little bit wider, gets that bit of airtime, and that is going to be the slowdown. SQLC is right there as well, trying to capitalize on Kimmy making a mistake, knowing an ace is handy if he can get the speed, and with that jump, he is going to be trying to catch up as we head into the identity. Hetone bounces, clips the corner of the platform, and that's going to allow Kimmy to just race forward into first place. Pixels are trying to capitalize on Hetone's mistake, but will this be enough? He's not able to risk it. It is going to be a draw for this one. That's not going to be good for LaFish.
We kind of spoke with, or we did in the podcast, but mentioned that basically the player who saves the most in Apac is going to be the one who wins it. And Hetone managed to, he tried to risk too much while being in the top position, and everyone just tries to play safe and trying to basically earn on the mistakes of others. But we'll see how everything goes. Still seems like a potential draw. There's only 2 points gap. An ace on Mujiki's end still can, switch up the match on the other way around on this map so far. But yeah, so far Pixels is leading the field. Hetone. You really made me not pronounce it.
Hey, you can't blame me for that. I did fix it, and I know it's Hetone now, and I do apologize to anyone who I've mispronounced during this. Most of the players obviously have had casting experience thanks to some of the regional events we actually run, such as AOTC, which is the Asia Oceanic Trackmania Championship. We've also run smaller regional events such as the Indonesian Trackmania Cup, OzTM, which was an oceanic tournament. We ran a couple of different things, so a lot of these players are well known in the region. The fact that we include Eastern Russians in the APAC region is the most interesting thing. Mujiki coming in out of nowhere and shocking the world by coming third so far. And if they're able to pull it through over LaFish, it's going to be the first appearance we see from them in APAC, and they're going to be they're going to be able to capitalize on that. But with that mistake, it's going to be Kimmy able to potentially move forward. No, it looks like it's SQLC and Hetone. Hetone, I made the mistake now. You made me make the mistake, but that's 6-4 in favor of LaFish, but still a good performance from these guys.
Yeah, very unfortunate because both SQLC and Hetone were on the leading positions right there, and a mistake at the same place at the same time cost them that. But great opportunities to starting to equalize the scoreboard on this map, but well, that's Trackmania. Mistakes happen and it completely switch up on the other side of the leaderboard. But yeah, so far seems like that in theory anyone can still win this one. There have been inconsistencies from both of the teams so far, but seems like that LaFish Fancom are getting the ones most advantages out of these outcomes so far. So far actually Kimmy and Pixels are even aiming for an ace so far in this position, but only 0.2 differences between them and the Russian duo so far. Currently coming on the upcoming session, we have seen some awkward mistakes popping up, some from Kimmy and Pixels right here, but especially in this upcoming part we have seen quite often a clip from either Hetone or SQLC, but we'll see what happens here so far. The field is relatively close, only 0.5 difference. But small mistake can completely change up the standings, and SQLC hits the side. It grabs a great opportunity now for LaFish Fan Club to get their 9th point on the scoreboard, but it all comes down to identity. How does Pixels and Kimmy perform it? Seems like Hetone completely messed it up, and seems like Kimmy and Pixels will get an ace in this round, and they're basically just one draw, one victory, or even one victory from Mujiki away, and to secure this map win and put 2-0 on the scoreboard.
That is definitely scary for Mujiki. If I was in that situation, I know I'd be panicking, noting that I have to perform out of my mind for the next 2 aces. But I'm also versing Kimmy and Pixels. Obviously, Pixels being a Vietnamese player who is actually Turkish, and Kimmy, who is one of the only Chinese players who's representing Hong Kong right now. It's such a strong team from some unique places that going against them, you have to perform out of your mind against these absolute titans in the Apac region. But going against that, you see SQLC and Haytones not even panicking. They're first and second right now, fair margin over the other two. This may be the first ace they're looking for, unless there's a mistake from Haytone, and that is awful for them. Pixels is able to catch up, and this may just make the victory they're looking for.
Oh, a very unfortunate situation from Haytone, because Pixels and Kimi also blundered in that round, and it was a great opportunity for Mujiki to get an ace there, because they need 2 aces to make a comeback on this map. The league can't allow one player just to be beaten from these duos, so they literally need a mess up from Pixels and Kimi at the identity for this map win to go in advantageous position for Mujiki so far. But we'll see what happens. SQLC is trying his best to maintain the lead, but the main eyes are now on Pixels and Kimi. Will be they able to maintain their position so far to score that 1 point to equalize the map win for them so far? Seems like SQLC messed it up. Pixels get the first scoreline, and Kimi get a second, and that's an ace for LaFish fan club. And it will be resulting in 2-0 scoreline in map wins. There's still there's still a bit of match left. There's 6 more maps potentially to be played, but for Mujiki to make a fan club. But so far, it's starting to go on the direction of LaFish fan club.
LaFish have got to be up very well right now. They're going to be happy about what they've done. But as we move into Slippy Slides, one of the maps that we saw an absolute fiesta on with the Asia Overdrive match, because that bug slide at the end is hard to hit if you don't line yourself up right. Pixels, we saw brilliant performance. He was hitting every bug slide. He was first or second in every round. And judging from the fact that this is Mujiki's pick, this is an interesting thing, knowing that Pixels was doing so well on it. Do they want to go for that risk, knowing that Pixels has that consistency? Or do they just want to say, we've got nothing to do here, 3-0 to LaFish, and just catch up in the next maps?
Well, Sleepy Slides is definitely one of the maps that really tests out the consistency of the players. We have seen so many mistakes popping up from other duos everywhere, from TMCL and EU regionals as well. And seems like Haytone has already had a small incident at the start where he had to respawn. But so far, still is a drawable position so far to give them some kind of room of improvements to have some saying in this match, as SQLC currently is leading the field with Pixels and Kimi right beside him. Pixels is a bit further back with the 0.7 difference, but starting to push. So Cabaret is slowly reducing the gap between him and the leader of the round so far. As we're coming on to the first bug slide up to the reactor boost and approaching the identity. We have seen some mess-ups, but you can really full send the identity with really cutting the bug slide lines very short from the inside. So we'll see what this happens. SQLC goes quite wide, went pretty safe, but Pixels risked it. Had to do a buffer respawn, and Kimi will actually snipe SQLC. It was a solid round from them, only 0.3 differences. This is not something that we can see that often in Apac so far, and Kimi sniping SQLC in this round will actually result a 2-1 victory for LaFish fan club in map 3.
If you didn't catch the angle there, that was Pixels taking the inside line and having to go wide on the second one. And that was SQLC taking the outside line on the first one, then able to take the inside. Kimi held the middle through both and was able to overtake both. So it seems like as long as you're consistent on both angles, you're going to have that advantage. And that's what really helped Kimi push for that victory. 2-1 up on this map is a great start for them. But with that start, they're going to be behind Haytone and SQLC heading over the dirt. This isn't going to be a good sign for them, as they know that they have to hold that position the entire map. And getting an early lead doesn't mean anything, especially if you're not keeping up the pace. But it does appear they're going to be holding it steady through the second third of this map.
Kimi there had a bit of a slide out. He didn't manage to get the slide cancel on the grass part, transition part with water wheels. So due to that, bit messed up. SQLC also had a minor clip that made him reduce the speed a bit. So at the moment it's a victory formation so far for Mujiki so far. But Kimi, one mistake away as well, is at the back. So far, let's see what the identity shows us. Heatone is trying to play it safe. Pixels gets overtaken, but goes for the inside line with the release, and it was enough to reduce the travel distance to snipe SQLC from the middle. Haytone wins the round with the 108, has been the fastest time so far today, and I believe one of the fastest times in Apac as well in rounds so far. But now we at least we have finally a match. Mujiki is starting to fight back a bit, and we have a 3-3 scoreline, I believe, for the first time. This is a very, very unfortunate start for Lefish fan club, as both players had a minor touch early on. Gives a great ace opportunity now for Mujiki.
Mujiki know that if they can hold this pace, once again, getting an early lead doesn't guarantee the rounds, but it does give you a great advantage knowing that Pixels, the strength of the team on this map, is currently 6 seconds behind. But that slowdown from SQLC isn't going to be handy, seeing that Kimi is right there, able to overtake and move into first place. Kimi knows that he's got to fight knowing that Pixels made a mistake. As long as Kimi can hold first place, that's going to be a draw, and that's going to keep it at an even scoreline. But Kimi is currently gaining over SQLC, and Haytone's nowhere to be seen. He's just in the back hoping to overtake, but right there, Kimi made a mistake, ended up going wide, and that does mean he is now behind the two as they head into the identity. We saw a clean run from these two the first time. As we go into the second time, Haytone goes a little bit wider. That's not going to be handy for him. Kimi goes even wider, and that's going to be him clipping, and Haytone slides out! Oh no, SQLC the only one to finish so far. Haytone has to respawn. Kimi has to respawn. Oh no! Kimi was able to clutch it at the end, but Haytone and Kimi had to respawn. That is not a good sign for Lefish as Mujiki go up 5-4.
But from Mujiki's end, you have to use these opportunities when the other team starts to blunder. Of course, it wasn't the best usage of this situation for them, but still, that puts them in a leading position, at least on this map so far. And we have to see how the match develops, as there's starting to be some cracks popping up from Lefish's side, which Mujiki is not using them as an advantage, but not the best start so far from Mujiki, as SQLC had a bit of a mistake early on, had a small clip over the fragile part, which kind of broke his score a bit till the next checkpoint. That's why he's a bit back by 4 seconds, which is actually a mistake on the identity, so still gainable as Haytone doesn't get the slide cancel and makes a mistake. Pixels makes a mistake as well. But the field currently is still set in stone, as Pixel's mistake wasn't that great as the mistake from the Russian players. Well, Kimi currently has one of the cleanest rounds so far from all of these 4 players. Is this by 8? No, wait, really? Why? Yeah, of course.
It's not a great sign from them. This is definitely not their round. You could definitely feel the nerves in the air. As Pixels hits the slide cleanly, Kimi had to respawn, but that's first place for Pixels. We've got SQLC and Haytone right there, going for second and third. Kimi in the back, that is going to be a tie. That does not improve the scoreline. Kimi could have made this an ace. You can definitely feel some pressure going on with these guys, knowing one mistake, you have to strive to catch up for any chance of finishing.
Yeah, 111 winning time. Yeah. Definitely showed that was one of the rounds ever in that sense. Seems like that Kimi also doesn't have one of the best starts, as he missed out on the start. And I would kind of agree with some of the people that some mentioned that the start is very hard to do very fast and efficient. And for some people, the very start is kind of the mini identity a bit. As currently we have Lefish fan club with them one mistake each, puts the Russians in the 1-2 position, but we have seen so many slide outs in the upcoming part, and of course mistakes at the identity, despite Mujiki currently being in a 1-2, and that's what happened. The SQLC did not manage to get a slide cancel. Haytone also needed to do a bit of a line correction as well, which allowed now Pixels now to equalize the field so far. Pixels now trying to fight against Haytone, and he gets the slide cancel, gets way more grip, and it only gives way more speed to overtake Haytone. But it all comes down to the identity. Kimi is 6 seconds behind, so it all depends on what can Pixels maintain the lead, but he lifts the side. SQLC makes it, Haytone makes it, and it's gonna be an ace for Mujiki, and it's gonna be a 9-5 scoreline on map 3.
Pixels would be kicking himself, especially after yesterday's performance where he was hitting every slide perfectly, able to finish every round in those high positions, and now he's struggling. You could see the pressure when he's seeing that scoreline, knowing that they have to ace the next 2 rounds to keep themselves from losing the map. But as we do get started with the next round, he is hitting it cleanly. Kimmy's right there as well. No mistakes off the start, and that's a great sign. SQLC ends up taking a low line over the quarter pipe, and that is going to be a slight clip. Wheel off the side, and he's not going to have a good time with that as Haytone still runs up the front. Pixels right there, ready to pounce on any mistake that Haytone makes as he gets through. Pixels has to take a bit of a wider line, so he does lose about 0.2 on that. But that's no worries at all. He's able to recover and push his way forward. Tight line through the water. Haytone still gaining, keeping a clean line overall. Haytone doesn't get the slide cancel, and that's going to be Pixels jumping into first place. Now able to capitalize on that. It's rounds like this where you see the mid stage, where everything flips, where it's the most interesting.
No, some people say the identity is the most interesting part, so let's see how this goes. Pixels currently is in the leading field with Haytone in the following. Kimmy is very close. Just an overtake from Mujiki against from the opponent team will result in a map win so far, and it looks like there was a blunder from Pixels. Haytone will win the round, and this will be the first map win for Mujiki in this matchup.
Luckily, it was their pick, so that is going to be handy for them. 2-1 is still the scoreline. The Fish still have the upper hand as they move into their pick, which is quite handy indeed. And we do move into aero pipes. Aero pipes! We love our aero pipes here on stream. We saw some absolutely wonderful matches yesterday on aero pipes. Let's see if they've got their aero pipes identity sorted out as we do have the warm-up in a moment.
Yeah, we'll see how this map goes. This is definitely one of the maps that has, I would say, one of the more interesting routes, and the identity is also, let's just say, a lot of clips have been made from the identity right here. So we'll see how it will look like that, but yeah, currently LaFish fan club is in the leading position so far, and we'll see what Mujiki can do on this one, since this is the LaFish fan club pick. So this has to be a good chance if Mujiki can take a map win against LaFish fan club, and they can equalize the match and can get into their heads as well. As currently there was a bit of an early mistake, and it was Haytone who didn't have the best of starts. Clips again from the plastic part, so this is a great first round opportunity for LaFish fan club so far.
It is definitely a good start, and I wasn't sure if there was going to be a match pause there because Kimmy had some connection issues, but he is okay. He is going on the round, and as we do have the start, SQLC slides out. That is not handy for him. Haytone is now able to catch up to him, but they are still 2 seconds behind Pixels there in the lead. It is going to be a very close fight for these guys, knowing that they have to push even harder on aero pipes. Pixels being one of the best we've seen in the region on aero pipes, able to hit the identity cleanly. I only think he had like 1 round yesterday where he royally messed it up, but most of the time he's able to hit that jump cleanly. He's able to hit the pipes, and that's got to be intimidating for Mujiki, knowing that one of the best players who can hit the aero pipes picked this map just to hit the aero pipes.
As we go into identity, we'll see what does the identity bring to us today. As currently a bit of a mistake from SQLC. Kimmy does make it, Pixels makes it, and it's gonna be an ace opener for LaFish fan club. Both of them make through the identity. There was a mistake both from the Russian sides, from each player, and a mistake on one end, and a clean run and a small release from the other results in an ace in one side.
LaFish getting that easy lead. You could see Pixels and Kimmy had practiced this map. They both hit it cleanly, and they were close to each other heading into it and heading out of it. So they know that they've got the upper hand on this map after seeing SQLC and Haytone struggling through the identity, and that's going to give them an easy run through as long as they can hold it to the end and pray that Mujiki don't actually figure out the identity. If they do figure it out, it's going to be an even closer fight, but Pixels has got this pretty handily. He's definitely had the practice on the map, and as you can see him currently in the lead, Haytone in close pursuit. You know he's comfortable on this map. This is his stomping ground, and he's not afraid to play ball.
We'll see, but so far LaFish fan club definitely looking on the pre-identity part, looking way stronger duo so far. Have been SQLC definitely looking way more inconsistent today. He's the faster player of the duo, but seems like Hayton has been doing a bit of a nice lines right there, keeping the skid marks nice and close. Get way more speed. A small bump from the outside cancels the momentum just before the free wheel part. We'll see what happens on the identity. Pixels gets one, Kimi crashes out. Pixels gets the second one nice and clean as well, with not too bad of a time as well. And Hayton gets second. What happens with SQLC? SQLC messes up, and it's gonna be a victory for LaFish fan club. Yeah, SQLC definitely not looking the best so far on this map, having too many big mistakes that just can't get a single overtake on any other player.
That is definitely not a good sign for Mujiki. Seeing that Pixels hit it so cleanly, Hayton was able to keep up with that, and that's an early mistake from SQLC. You can definitely tell this is not his map. But Kimi made the mistake as well. He jumped way too far and flew over the pipe, so he had to try and recover it, and was not enough. Hayton was able to cruise by and make sure it was not an ace on that round. But as we do head into the reactor section on this uphill left, it is going to be Pixels currently handling the lead. As I said, it's his stomping ground. Hayton is trying to catch up. SQLC's finally caught up to Kimi, and it's still anyone's game at this point. It's all about the identity, it seems, on this map. There could be clips here, clips there, but keeping this close, it comes down to, can you hit those pipes? If you can't hit those pipes, that's GG, as Hayton does clip and moves himself towards the back of the pack. Kimi able to overtake and hold that ace. Pixels clipped as well, and that's not a good sign. Kimi's able to waltz into first place. Pixels has got to hold himself over Hayton right on his tail as we do go into the pipes. Kimi hits the pipe much better. Pixels hits it right behind him. Hayton's able to overtake. Will this be a snipe by Hayton? No, he wasn't able to recover. Pixels able to go through smoothly. Kimi in that second position. That is still an ace for LaFish, but not in the order we thought.
Yeah, now, again, LaFish fan club really looking good on this map. Every single time I see round ends, SQLC is plus 10 seconds behind. Just not getting that consistency up on this map. And Hayton and SQLC are even struggling pre-identity quite a bit and lose like 2 or 3 seconds due to that. And it just creates great room of opportunities for LaFish fan club, and they're definitely using it. Pixels is definitely stepping up his consistency and pace as well, especially from day one. And I would say LaFish fan club definitely have elevated their performance from day one, while Mujiki had definitely not been looking as good as they were on yesterday. But we still have a bit of match to be played, but this does seem like a good, the way how it has been so far on this map, that LaFish fan club could potentially take it in this round right here and could secure a 3-1 map lead. But there's a mistake both from Hayton and SQLC in this map so far, but you know, identity is still in front of us.
Understandably, looking at the scoreline, in Mujiki's sake, they know they need to go like hard. They need to make sure they're hitting everything cleanly, and that's a flip from Pixels. He hits the flip but messes up. He does not get the landing he needs. Kimi's able to waltz into first place. Hayton in second. Pixels unable to recover. That's going to be 9-2, and at this point, a draw is fine. But on this map, the scoreline like that, Mujiki have resigned. They're like, look, at this point, we can fight as hard as we want. There is no way we are overtaking LaFish. LaFish have this in the bag. It's going to be 3-1 in the favor, and they know the next 3 maps are the most important. It could be game over on the next map for all we know, but we will have to see as we do go into Mujiki's pick next.
Yeah, it seems like this might be the final round so far. SQLC is really far back, more than 3 seconds. Only Hayton is a bit in, but even if he draws, it's still a point for LaFish fan club. And SQLC really needs to be in that top 2 position with Hayton to have some saying on this map for some changes, because they need to get 3 aces in a row to basically have a chance, basically to flip the map on their side. But so far, Pixels and Kimi are just trying to play way more safer. Just literally have this approach of just trying to wait until a mistake happens from their opposing team, which has been happening for every single round so far. Even for the identity, they have managed to make it relatively consistent as well. As coming up for the potentially final round, Pixels gets it nicely. Same with Hayton. Even the second pipe as well, and Kimi as well makes it. So one of the cleanest rounds on aero pipes I have seen so far. except SQLC, who has been only 4 seconds behind. And even he made the identity. He had the blunder early on, so all 4 players made the identity properly, and we're having 3-1 after map 4.
I will say that I would have the thought that LaFish would have been practicing hard, knowing they're going against Mujiki, who did beat them the first time. Basically wiped the floor with them. They're like, we need to catch up and we need to play well. And they are bringing their A game as we do head into back and forth. It is 3-1 in LaFish's favor. And if they can keep that consistency going, they could take out the series in this map. But it does come down to the backwards and the forwards, and it does come down to that backwards identity. One of my favorite identities actually out of the pack, because it's just such a unique way of doing an identity.
One thing interesting to mention that this map was also played yesterday when these teams met against each other, and it was quite dominant performance from Mujiki in that matchup right here. But LaFish has a bit stepped up their performance quite massively today, so we'll see how the scene switches so far, but LaFish Phantom not showing that as Kimi has crashed out and is 4 seconds behind the field. Aton is leading the field with SQLC. Pixels is just trying to fight for that second, trying to just deny the ace, but okay, yeah, yesterday incident is happening as yeah, Pixels and Kimi are more than 4 seconds behind the Russian duo so far. SQLC is trying just to play safe, seeing the big gap happening so far, and unless there's a major mistake coming from I thought that he didn't get the checkpoint, yeah.
No, he definitely got the checkpoint. He did scrape the wall in, so he had barely any speed. You could see that bonk down, but it doesn't make much of a difference. Pixels failed the wet plastic bug slide, the first one, and the second one, he just could not recover it. So it is an ace for Mujiki to start things out. That is not handy for LaFish. They know they need to catch up, especially playing this map during the solo events. They're used to this map the most, so this is unfortunate for them.
This was the first map used in the solo clashes, which were the solo events done by community. And in the Apac solo clash, Hayton was the person who managed to win in that tournament where they just played on back and forth. And so far, definitely showing up to that, at least in their domestic region so far. But yeah, we'll see what happens afterwards. There were definitely, I would say that wasn't like a fully deserved round, because mainly LaFish Fan Club did crash out fully, so they used the mistakes. But we'll see what happens this time around, as there have been no major mistakes so far. Pixels doesn't get the perfect 360, has to recorrect his line. SQLC also didn't have the best momentum coming out of it, while Hayton still maintained his momentum so far. Seems like a current ace position, small clip from Hayton so far. It doesn't have the best momentum as going into the identity. Pixels gets the overtake. Hayton doesn't have that much speed. Kimi also was no way. No way. Both of them fell off the spool on the same side, and that will be another ace for Mujiki in this match.
You would be fuming if both you and your teammate fail in the exact same section. That is yet another ace for Mujiki on this map. 6-0 up. LaFish might have resigned from this map for all we know, but that clip I actually discovered yesterday from watching the players. That clip is actually the perfect slowdown to line you up. So that's actually the fastest strat, to clip off the side of the corner to slow yourself down just enough to make sure you hit that drift. That clip though, Kimi, is not the one we're looking for, as he does move back into 4th place off an unfortunate clip there. But that corner clip is actually slightly faster than trying to hit the normal angle.
Yeah, but it doesn't save that. It's like a massive risk reward. If you really want to go for it, it saves like half a tenth, or if you mess it up, you lose.
I mean, look at the scoreline right now. Would you not risk if you were 6-0 up? What's the worst that could happen? You end up at 8-1 or, 7-1? Okay, cool. There's still a 6-point lead. They know they can afford to risk, but they're definitely not risking at this point. Both of them are currently ahead, with Pixels trying to catch up. Pixels knows he has to fight hard, but both of them just hit the identity cleanly. That's another ace for Mujiki at this point, unless they mess up the ending. No, SQLC did clip, but that's not enough. That's another ace for Mujiki, and Kimi is just parked up around the finish. 9-0. They've washed this map out. Even if it's an ace, there is no way LaFish can catch up. LaFish will just have to come back on their pick and get that 4th map.
But one important thing to mention, that Trackmania is very mentality focus driven game. So after having such a there's a dominant performance from Mujiki. This can come, in theory, could switch the momentum from the other teams, especially entering on the next map. Because Lefish always has been the one on the winning end, but Mujiki slowly to show their yesterday's themselves. Because for the first 4 maps, they were definitely not performing as they were in day 1, and slowly they're a bit waking up a bit. And so far the performance definitely shows that. Yesterday we had the same matchup being played, but it was Mujiki winning 4-1. But now it's slowly swaying a bit on the other end. However, Mujiki is finally a bit waking up a bit and trying to fight against. But Kimi as well, finally first round where he hasn't made a blunder early on and is actually contesting for the top positions. SQLC and Pixels meanwhile fighting for the 3rd position. Small release from SQLC. Pixels gets way more momentum and he snipes both Russian players at the end part of Identity, denying the map win for them and keeping themselves still alive on this map.
Interestingly enough, both of them have proven they can get the ace here, and it did come down to mistakes from Mujiki. So if Mujiki can actually keep their consistency going, we're moving on to the next map. But if Pixels and Kimi can capitalize on any mistakes that come through, this still may be GG. We can't discount anything. We've seen some sweeps happen before. Will this be a reverse sweep? We will have to see.
Well, we have a double fail start, so as long as Hayton just stays ahead of Kimi, it's a map point, basically a map round for Mujiki, unless something really crazy happens until the end. Hayton has been looking quite consistent on this map, and he was the person to win the solo clash on this map as well in the Apac region before pre-World Tour. Basically, as a small clip early on, allows Pixels to go for a potential overtake, but the main person he needs to be ahead is Kimi. We had some mistake previously early on, and seems like that Pixels will win the round, but the second position from Hayton will actually result at 1 point for Mujiki, and this will be a map win for them. Victory. So now we are starting a bit of a tighter match as Mujiki secure their second map, and we have a 2-3 map scoreline so far in this lower bracket final.
I mean, Lefish were willing to give away that map. After seeing it go up to as high as it did, 9-0, they're like, look, there's nothing we can do here. But as we move into parkour, this is another one that was in the solo clashes, so these players are used to it. We saw some interesting rounds on this yesterday, and if Lefish can keep that consistency going, especially Pixels, I believe, was doing really well on this map. If those two can keep that going, it might be GG on parkour. We may go to map 7 here. We would just have to see how they go, knowing that everything comes down to whether or not they can have that consistency.
One thing to mention that yesterday the scoreline on this map was 10-4 in favor of Lefish fan club. So in theory this map should be a bit more preferable for them, but we'll see. Today is a different day. We have seen a bit of an opposite happen. And there were, for example, maps where it went vice versa comparing to yesterday, so we'll see what happened today. Will the wake-up call from Mujiki make them perform comparing to early maps? Because this is basically their final map that they could play, unless they do take it. So they really need to win this one to keep themselves alive in this regional and in this match as well. As you'll see, with not the fastest start so far, but at least his teammate is still keeping Ant in front. But we'll see what is to happen with the Identity. We have seen some mistakes here and there popping up, especially Kimi has been the more inconsistent one, but Pixels this time is the one making the mistake. Kimi is actually leading the field so far. Hayton in second, and so far everyone makes it, and it's gonna be a draw opener on parkour in this match.
That is an unfortunate mistake from Pixels. That uphill is so deadly, especially if you get the smallest clip. You need at least 180, 185 speed to hit it barely. You need 200 to hit it cleanly. And that clip was just enough for him to go, see you later, I am not catching up on this. The fact that it was hit so cleanly after that meant that even if Pixels had hit the first jump, he would have had to have the best ending to try and make that ace. But Hayton was right behind Kimi, trying to deny any sort of ace, and he held through. It meant that it came to a draw instead of an ace, but as we head into the next round, it seems to be swinging in Lefish's favor. Those two are currently ahead. Hayton trying to catch up, but it is Hayton trying to catch on Kimi. Pixels currently ahead. as we do go into the quarter pipe transition. It is going to be cleaned by all of them. Haytone having to take a bit more airtime, but that's totally fine. He is trying to catch on Kimmy, trying to risk as much as possible, but Kimmy is able to keep that angle, and SQLC actually able to overtake as we head into the identity. Pixels is a margin ahead as we do have Kimmy landing that cleanly. Onto the first, onto the second. It is currently looking in their favor. Pixels did make a mistake. That's bad. Haytone makes a mistake and he misses the finish. Oh, Pixels is able to recover, and that's a victory in the favor of LaFish. That is so unfortunate for Haytone. You could see he was going to run into the trees.
Yeah, he unfortunately landed on the grass and lost the grip on the final section. If he was just tiny bit more to the right, it would have been a completely fine for them. But the aim was a bit more on to the left, and they completely missed out on the basically road part. And it kind of gives no great opportunity for LaFish, as Pixels again has a pretty rough start. He even with the crash went over the checkpoint, so he has quite a bit of a sluggish start with this. So this is a great opportunity now for the Russian duo to have some recovery on this map, as one of the better players from this region are currently early on crashed out. As Kimmy trying to do some saying so far. Again, is trying to have a nice recovery on that wall jump section where he managed to go in front of Russians there. He actually goes for the small drift before early on. As you all see, has a small respawn, but even Pixels had such a big blunder early on that it doesn't really change position so far. It's all up on Kimmy. Kimmy actually is waking up with his consistency today, and SQLC maintains this third position, and it will be a draw. Actually, I'm starting to get a bit impressed by Kimmy. Kimmy was really looking shaky yesterday, and now he's quite stepping up the game, and it's performing way better than Pixels in terms of consistency.
I do question some of the life lessons we learned from playing Trackmania. Don't touch grass. Touching grass is bad. If you got a problem, drive around it, find a new solution. Just like, it doesn't teach good life lessons. But in the end, touching grass is not something we want to do in these maps. And seeing these players on this map, especially where there's not a lot of grass, Kimmy sliding out on the ice, tried to make it, didn't work very well. See, you just got to go through your problems. You can't go around them, you have to go through your problems. And that means hitting that ice slide correctly in this case.
Yeah, Kimmy had a small spinnen incident in the ice part. Yeah, but anyway, that's basically puts him at the bottom of the round so far. SQLC is now actually stepped. Oh, never mind. He had a small touch. Pixels is leading the field. Hayton touched the CP. SQLC and Hayton had a small mess up, but Kimmy messed it up as well. And it's gonna be a draw once again, but still there's an advantage for the Fish fan club. Mujiki really needs to get those victories or aces on their side to stay in this match. If it just continues on with draws for the next upcoming rounds, it will be LaFish's fan club win, and they will be going to the final afterwards. So if Mujiki wants to have some saying, they need to get those victories and aces in on this map.
Exactly, and that's going to be a tough fight for them. Kimmy and Pixels currently in the lead, but SQLC and Haytone are currently fighting to try and push their way forward with a better ice slide. Haytone takes a small clip, but it is going to move him to the back of the pack. SQLC is able to overtake, and Pixels also clips. SQLC is able to get that low jump and move into first place. He went from the back of the pack to the front thanks to just a tight line and the other two making mistakes. Kimmy has to fight to try and get that position back to make sure he can get either a victory or a draw at this point. As we do head into the identity, it's going to be SQLC currently in the pack, hitting both of them cleanly. We've seen some mistakes on this, but not right now. SQLC able to take the win. Pixels in the back of the pack. That is going to be a victory in Mujiki's favor, and we move back to a tie at 6-6.
Yeah, this is what's a very crucial round for them, because now it equalizes the field and it puts them in an equal footing, giving them way more opportunity, putting them out of that danger zone, which was the advantage of LaFish fan club for Mujiki. Because if Mujiki loses this map, they are out of the tournament and will secure third place in it today. But if they win it, they have some saying they'll be going to the grand finals against Volby, where if Mujiki wins, they'll have a rematch. But if LaFish fan club loses, then they'll have a really crazy lower bracket run that was resulted. And looks like there has been a small blunder, actually from 3 of the players. But Hayton is still keeping in the top position so far. Kimi has a very fancy their low jump line on the wall jump part right there. But so far, the Russians are keeping the ace position. SQLC has so many blunders happening at the end. He's trying to keep it very, very, very safe as he has won a second advantage, but Kimi is trying to risk it. Hayton also tried to save it. They're trying just to keep the victory position so far. SQLC gets the end, Kimi and Hayton as well, and it's now going to be the first map advantage. Apologies, the map lead so far for Mujiki, and they're one victory or ace away from equalizing, and we're going to map 7. But LeFish as well. If LeFish take an ace right here, it will be a GG's for this match and will be eliminating Mujiki. So very high stakes now for the upcoming rounds.
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth, LeFish. If they're able to recover and get this ace here, it is game over. They know that this round decides, will they play map 7 or will they just be moving forward and facing Kuda and Spark in the next round? As we do get started, Pixels makes a small mistake. He'll have to try and recover this. He is slowing down behind the guys, but will we see what happens with Mujiki? That's a crash from SQLC. He crashes into the waterfall, and that's him out. Comes down to Kimi, trying to make sure he fights his way forward and holds that position. Pixels is right there as well, ready to capitalize on any Hayton's mistakes. As we do head into the dirt uphill, it's going to be a tight line, but he is going to make it around. He's still behind Hayton. He knows that Hayton has to make a mistake for him to try and overtake. As we go through the identity, Hayton lands it cleanly, makes it over the jump. We go back to a tie at 9-9. It could go any way in this next round.
Yeah, it's sudden death round now. Basically, whoever wins from this point gets the map win. If LeFish take it, they're qualified to the grand finals afterwards. If Mujiki takes it, we're going to map 7. It's basically an important round win from any of the teams. A draw can still happen to extend the match, but that's something that none of the teams want. Both of them want to have a victory or an ace on their end to move on to the rest of the tournament. So far, SQLC an early safe start so far. Previous round, he did try to over-risk the wall jump, and it didn't really pay off. Hayton trying to save it. Where is Hayton? Hayton has to respawn. SQLC is at the bottom right now. Kimi and Pixels on they're trying to aim for the ace to result them in the grand final so far, but the identity is in front of them. There hadn't been that many mistakes from them, but will it happen here and now? First jump, they get it. Second one, clean as well. And Kimi and Pixels, or LeFish fan club, will ace themselves into the grand finals of the Apac Regional 1, upsetting Mujiki coming from the upper side, and LeFish crawling themselves from the lower bracket, losing to the team that sent them there and put themselves into the grand finals from the lower bracket run.
That is what we like to see. They had basically the underdog story. They lost to Mujiki straight out of the gate. They knew that that was the situation they had to deal with. But moving forward, they were able to fight back, get their practice in, and now we will see them in the grand final going up against Vobi, Kuda, and Spark, who we know as Kunal previously. This is a scary matchup for them because they've competed against them previously thanks to events like AOTC, thanks to other events that have been run in that regard. It is a scary thought to know that fixed that. It's scary to know that Spark and Kuda will be going against Kimi and Pixels, 4 different countries. I'm excited to see how this goes.
Well, we'll have to see how things will look up, because in theory, it was predicted that will be the upper brackets replayed, final replayed. But it's, it's a bit better looking. Let's just say the Fish fan club is starting to look way stronger duo so far. And I feel like since last time Mujiki was the team that started to make a bit annoying for Vobi a bit. So we'll see how things will end up right here. We'll be going on a small break, and we'll be ready for the APAC Regional 1 Grand Finals. It's going to be the first region final for APAC, so definitely don't want to miss out. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Vobi versus LaFish Fan Club. We'll see you then.
Indeed, so stick around, folks. And we are back, folks, with the Trackmania World Tour APAC Regional Grand Final. We're going to be seeing Vobi and LaFish. I just realized my hair's messed up. This is wonderful. Vobi and LaFish dueling it out in this last fight to the death. Will it be Kuda and Spark taking the win and taking out the regional? Will they feature an All-Star? Or will it be LaFish providing the upset and moving forward into that All-Star event? We will have to see in just a few moments.
I mean, it is the top two. This is the place where, let's just say, scoping out on who is in this range is the important bit. So, as mentioned, top one from this region will be going to the All-Star match that will be happening after Stage 1, just at the start of Stage 2. And the top two players from this region will be going to the TMCL promo relegation tournament, which is kind of the minor a bit event against the other top teams from other regions, which is going to be interesting to watch, and the bottom two TMCL teams as well. So we'll see how that will go, but we're slowly on our way with the pick and ban of the grand final so far.
Indeed, it is a ban of gyroscope by LaFish. It is a ban of slippy slides by Vobi. We've got parkour, we've got agility dash, we have slowdown, we have aero pipes, we have back and forth. Will we see reps? We are seeing reps! And we are seeing Flip of Faith. We haven't seen Flip of Faith tonight. We haven't seen reps. I am so excited to see reps. My favorite by far. It will be so exciting. Who's your favorite to win this match?
I feel like everyone is looking at Volby and everything like that in the what's it called in the podcast before. I also said that Volby is gonna be the one that will take this, but I'm really like having the sick underdog stories. And the fact that LaFish had this sick lower bracket run where they lost to Mujiki in their first round and then from lower bracket climbed themselves to the grand final. I can't root against that. And I will say the LaFish fan club, who's currently is orgless, by the way, could potentially take it and cause an interesting upset in the APAC region. Because I mentioned that APAC is a bit all over the place, anyone could take it, and I feel like this could be the chance for them to do so.
Look, I'm going to go against your grain and say that Vobi has been dominant in every single match they've taken part in. They were able to wipe out Mujiki quite handily in their match. They're heading into parkour on the first map. And I think that Vobi will be able to pull this through. LaFish have been putting up a strong performance. But when you see Spark, the best player in India, it's GG at that point. You don't know what you're going to do in a situation. Kuda as well, one of the best players in Indonesia. It literally comes down to, can you beat the best of the best that we have here in APAC? So my money's with Vobi. We will have to see how it goes, and with a mistake that early.
Yeah, we're gonna be starting on a parkour, one of the maps we actually ended on last time around, so it's a good start for LaFish, I feel like, because it was they got a bit more rounds in, as this is the first match Vobi plays today, as they got pre-qualified from day one, but we'll see how things go so far. So LaFish definitely having that warm-up advantage, but of course, yeah, never mind. Pixels a bit early mistake early on, so it's a great start for a great opportunity to start off this match with a nice advantage for Volby, as Kimi as well had a small release right there. Spark and Kuda so far are aiming for that ace so far in this round. I feel like they were expecting to play against the Russians once again, and the fact that they're playing against a team that went out in the round 1 of the brackets early on in the grand final is definitely something to mess with their heads a bit, as Kimi gets way more extra speed out of that. No, overtakes Kuda, but and Spark as well with a small touch as well. At least Kimi can make the jump. Spark barely made it as well. Pixels is a bit too far behind Kuda, aiming for his first attempt identity. He hits the sign, allows Kimi to overtake. Kuda barely chugs into the finish. Pixels even almost overtakes him, and that could almost have been an ace. One of the wildest rounds so far we have seen on parkour today.
Look, as you stated today, and as we've stated yesterday, the first round's always a warm-up. Vobi are just getting used to this map. Keep in mind, they didn't play the initial match. They just had time to practice or time to do whatever they wanted. So they're now heading into their first match of the day. Not as warmed up as LaFish, who have just had to fight for their spot here. So now that they're comfortable, we should be starting to see some Vobi dominance, as Spark is currently leading the pack. Kimi close behind, Kuda in that third position. Pixel's not getting the strong landing. It is going to be Kuda trying to catch up into that second position with a clean ice slide. He is moving in on Spark, and he is able to get that second position. Two of them currently dueling up the front. I think this is what we're expecting to see.
hard to say. Bit unfortunate missed starts from Pixel so far in this match. It hasn't been identity yet, and he's down 3 seconds already. This hasn't been the most favorite start, so it has been always a 3-way fight at the top positions as in the previous round. Just unfortunate mistakes from Spark and Kuda kind of messed up their rankings a bit, because currently now they're aiming for an ace so far, and it seems like that will be the case as Spark and Kuda take the 1 and 2 and the ace for Volby, now putting themselves into the lead, as both Kimi actually tried to play the safe card so far, but Pixel is just having a very unfortunate round so far, made that ace for Volby possible.
That's going to be handy for Volby, knowing that they can get those aces, and they're going to be trying to pull out multiple aces in this stage, knowing that if they can get that first map win, they're going to be going up 1-0 off the first round, and going up like that gives you that bit of a boost to keep going and finish it out. Take that spot, take the all-star there, but without that, they're going to be struggling, and that's where LaFish is going to be sitting, knowing that if they can't get this map back from Volby, they've got to fight even harder to try and get that dub.
Yeah, Pixels again crashing out early on, despite Kude also making a mistake. So it feels like it's a split round so far with Spark and Kimi fighting for the top, but Kimi as well messed up. And it's gonna be a free ace for Volby so far. Just too many mistakes from LaFish fan club so far. A really unfortunate performance so far in this match. But we're still on our way to the identity. Spark had to respawn. Kuda had to hit a sign as well, like in the first round. Pixels hits the end. Oh my. He hit the side of the edge on the last jump. Yeeted out the side. That could have been a draw for LaFish fan club. But instead, it's an ace for Volby. And now they're down. No, LaFish fan club is down 7-2.
That is not a good sign. Spark messed it up. Kuda messed it up. Pixels had it and messed it up. It literally came down to the other two being able to respawn faster. 7-2 going up. 1 ace here, and they will be moving off parkour in the lead. That is not good for LaFish, knowing that Kimi was just trying to recover, and even with the recovery, came last.
Yeah, we'll see. But now if LaFish fan club wants to have some say on this map, it's definitely gonna be, let's just say they have to do a lot of damage. One thing to mention that this is a map pick actually from Volby. As Kuda messed it up. He went for the low jump but had to respawn. He went a bit too low and hit the ramp a bit early on, so he's bottom of the field. This time Pixels for the first round has not made a mistake. Of course I say that and it happens. This has to respawn as well. Spark and Kimi are fighting for the top position so far. Kimi has a bit less speed. Spark tries to risk for the low jump. It's not enough, but he managed to at least finish. Pixels is just behind, trying to score that victory. But the fact that Spark managed to get that second place silver board at 1 point, and now Volby is 1 victory away, while LaFish has to get 3 aces in apologies, 2 aces in a row to basically take away the map from Volby.
It is definitely not a good situation for LaFish, knowing that they have to beat Spark and Kuda. But with Spark's start like this, he's going to be getting the battle line and keeping up with Pixels. Pixels knows what's at stake and is full risking, knowing what's going on. Good inside line from him. He's holding the lead. Kuda trying to crawl past him to make sure that it's not going to be an ace in LaFish's favor as we do head into the quarter pipe. We've seen a lot of low jumps here. Everyone knows they have to hit that low jump. All of them decelerating, and it is 4 clean jumps. That's what we like to see, but Kuda gets the best exit line. He's going into the bobsled, looking clean. Pixels right there in that second position, dueling it with Spark. Spark knows that all he has to do is come third and stop Kimi, and he's going to be moving forward off this map. That's a rough landing from Pixels. It's a rough landing from Spark there. As we do go into the second jump of the identity, Pixels is still slightly ahead. Kimi's going for the low line. It does not help. Volby will be getting the first map, and that is 1 step closer to the All-Stars.
Yeah, 1 close. I mean, we still have 2 regionals away, and matchmaking as well is considered for All-Stars, so there's a lot of things that still can change. But we'll see how things happen. Definitely making them as one of the potential contenders of Apac if they continue as playing. But LaFish Fan Club definitely had a solid showing in that last round, but it was not enough. If they can convert that performance from their previous map or the previous round into this map as well, then I feel like there's a good chance there's going to be the very well made matchup from LaFish Fan Club. As they against Mujiki, they were definitely way more consistent and definitely getting those mistakes basically taken care of from the other team and getting those map wins and aces in round wins in and aces in for LaFish Fan Club in that matchup. Will that happen here as well? We'll have to see, as we're starting off the first round on Agility Dash, which has been the pick for LaFish Fan Club actually.
It's a good start for LaFish there, but Kuda is currently handily in the front. We've got Spark having connection problems, question mark. Kimmy having connection problems. All the Apac servers having connection problems, as we'd expect from the Apac region. What kind of Apac tournament would it be without some connection problems somewhere in the match? But as we have Kuda up the front of the pack, Kimmy and Pixels dueling it out, trying to move forward, but Spark's making his way through, weaving in and out of the cars, just trying to fight his way forward. He's still behind Kimmy, but we do have the identity coming up. And this will be the first time we see Vobi on the identity tonight. Hopefully they'll have that consistency.
And we'll see just one section away, and we're going to be approaching the identity. Kimi and Pixels definitely were looking as the more consistent duo, at least in the previous matchup. But we'll see first attempt from Kuda and Spark in this identity. Kimi flies off, no one makes a mistake except Kimi. And it will give a great opportunity for Vobi to have a victory at the start of the pick of LaFish. A very unfortunate start for them, but it is what it is.
Oh, that is not good for Kimmy. He falls down in defeat knowing that it's going to be a victory anyway for Vobi. 2-1 up on Agility Dash. Agility Dash being one of the harder maps to keep that consistency going. It does allow some more open lines, essentially, but at the same time, you are doing those lines at a faster speed. You are going to be trying to take your corners with as much pace as possible, knowing that Vobi are right on your tail, and that did eventually hit Kimmy, and that's why he fell off the identity.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Currently a good start. Never mind.
Never mind.
I literally just said 3 words. I said 3 words and something happened. Anyway, now we instead of ace, we have a draw position so far for LaFish Fan Club. We'll see what happens so far. But Kimi definitely was the one who had the most mistakes on Agility Dash so far. Pixel's the one who had way more consistency popping up from him on this map. But we'll see what happens on this time around. Vobi is trying to attack, trying to pressure Pixels into forcing out a mistake, as trying to push for pace themselves. Kuda trying to reduce the gap between him and Pixels. Spark trying to play safe, trying to wait for that mistake to happen to get another victory on Vobi's end. So far, a bit of airtime, but still managed to keep the grip. Pixels clips from the inside, Spark overtakes, and it's now an ace position so far. Kimi is still back at the field, but we still have an identity. Will we see some chaotic mishaps happening so far? Kuda and Spark trying to play safe, trying to get through the map, and it's gonna be an ace for them, putting them in a 5-1 scoreline on map 2.
That is not a good sign for LaFish. They know they need to try and catch up, but with a 5-1 position, they're gonna have to basically push every single round. All Kuda and Spark have to do is play safe, and as you've mentioned previously, playing safe is the key to doing well here in the Apac region. These two can have the pace there, but they're also taking the lines much safer than Pixels and Kimmy, so they're going to have that advantage on some of these sections, as we do see Spark taking an early lead, Pixels there as well, and Kimmy's small margin behind. Kimmy knows he's got to catch up to try and deny this, but at this point, it's looking like Spark's got the dominance on this map.
Well, mainly consistency, I would say, because the main rounds how Vobi has gained is just the fact that LaFish has made some blunders here and there. Pace-wise, there have been both relatively equal. It's just the fact that there have been so many mistakes so far happening from LaFish Fan Club so far. But we'll see, because everything, yeah, it seems like it's gonna be out, because Pixels hit the checkpoint, Kimi is out as well. More than 2 second advantage for Kuda and Spark and Team Vobi. coming into the identity. Kuda gets a bit of airtime before the identity, but even that airtime is like still way too much room, and they don't lose positions so far. And if everything goes as it was previously, it will be Volby securing an ace and an 8-1 victory so far, but Kuda hits the checkpoint, has to respawn. Same with LeFish Fan Club. Kuda has to respawn once again, and Kimi goes for the second position, tries to just play safe, secures the second place. It's gonna be a victory for Volby, and 7-2 scoreline, but it's still not looking that good for LeFish Fan Club, because Volby is one ace away from taking their second map.
That is going to be handy for Volby. One more ace and they will be moving on 2-0. But at the same time, it's still not over. LeFish could pull out some banger rounds, but Kimi doesn't seem to be doing so well on the map. He is usually at the back of the pack. It is looking like Spark and Kuda do have that consistency, and a small mistake here and there is not going to be handy for them, especially Kuda hitting the checkpoint and unable to finish the identity in a one-shot. But as we do go into this round, it is currently in a draw position with Spark at the front and Kuda at the back. But they're doing the scissor maneuver. Kuda's approaching like a shark, trying to bite onto Pixels and Kimi and move his way to the front of the pack, capitalize on that, get the win, move on to the next map. He's trying to close this out. Never mind. He crashed.
With a small clip from the middle, flips over the checkpoint. And this certainly is one of the better opportunities now for the Fish Fan Club to do something in the scoreline, because there's all of the players are in the round except for Kuda. Park trying to maintain his position. Kuda is out of it, but they really need to get the ace. They need to overtake Spark in this round, but Spark has a pretty solid start so far comparatively to Kimi and Pixels, but a mistake from Spark can result the ace. They need that mistake from Spark in this round to have the ace going for Spark, trying to play safe. He gets the win, and it's gonna be a draw for them, and 1 point will be resulted, and now Volby is just gonna be one ace or victory away from taking the map 2 in this matchup.
Yeah, Kuda's gonna be pretty... I was just about to say Kuda's now getting through this, but Kuda doesn't like this identity now. I think he's just sick of it. He's like, nope, I'm going off the side. Spark's got this. He's currently first place. I'm just gonna have a great time and fly off the map. Kuda is not having a good run on that last round, but hopefully he'll be able to recover it as we do move into the next round. It is looking like Kimi and Pixels are actually kind of near the front, but Spark's there as well, and his consistency has been shown on this map, and I think that's one of the big advantages. The fact that... And that's a clip from Kimi. That is not good for Kimi. Moving to the back of the pack, Kuda's able to move into that third position and keep a fair distance away, but as long as those two hold their position now, that's 10 points, and that is map 2 in your favor. Kimi's got to be annoyed by that crash.
And it's a bit frustrating as well, because I feel like it's a bit annoying also from Mujiki's side, seeing the way how LeFish is playing right now. It's like, we could have been there. But yeah, sadly, let's just say, it's not the same LeFish as we saw in the previous round. We're having pretty big gaps so far. Spark is actually playing relatively consistent. Hasn't had a single mistake actually in this map so far. That's Jinx probably in the works right there.
We call that a caster's curse, and no caster's curses are happening. It is just Pixels clipping, Kuda trying to recover, and Kimi's somewhere in the back. I mean, he's gone from this round. It is going to be in Kuda's favor as long as he can hit this identity. That's a clip from from Pixels. Oh no, that's going to be Kuda able to... no, Kuda! Kuda's giving me a heart attack. Kuda able to finish backwards. That's an ace for Volby. They're taking a second map, but come on, Kuda, you can't do that to me. I've got more matches to cast.
But yeah, Spark just trying to play safe, trying to keep just a relatively safe consistency throughout the maps, just waiting for the mistakes from others, and it's resulting in a lot of round wins for them in this matchup. And it's already the second map win for Volby due to that, as we're going to be jumping to Slowdown as our map 3 so far. One of the more, I would say, the closest rounds we have seen so far throughout the tournament here. But we'll see how it will result in this grand final. A lot of like shaky situations have been happening, especially from the Fish Fan Club so far. But we'll see what happens here in practice. LaFish fan club really needs to improve their consistency. Hasn't been looking great for them, especially if during the first two maps. It literally wasn't them like in the last match how they played against Mujiki, and now they're just way underperforming now, which is a bit of a shame. They're not really giving a lot of troubles for Volby so far, but we'll see what happens on this map.
This map is definitely going to be interesting. Kimmy and Pixels both have today's experience from it after playing with Team Mujiki, but as they do move through this map, they're going to be warm 1 and 2 right now. Spark towards the back, Kimmy up the front, and Kuda actually fighting for that position as well. All 4 of them keeping close together. 0.6 separating first and fourth is a close race as we do head towards that identity. Pixels are going to take a bit of a wider line, and it's not going to help him. Kuda's able to catch up. Both of them get the clean drift, but Kuda's able to get over the mound. It's going to be Pixels actually making the move there. Kimmy's up the front, Sparks in pursuit. They're not going to make it, and it's got to be a victory in favor of the Fish, and that's going to be a good start for Slowdown.
Victory.
Yeah, one of the, like I said, more consistent maps so far. 57-7 is the winning time so far, but yeah, definitely a big better opener from LaFish fan club. This is definitely something that they need to get that momentum now going to their sides. And if they continue like this, I think it should be fine to basically make it way more competitive for them, especially for the upcoming maps, just to get that confidence going in this matchup. Because a lot of people, especially in these, let's say, developing regions so far, are like, whenever they see like a good player against them, they have like this mentality. It's like, oh, I have no chance at that. But you know, they're not playing against Stasis again, so. You know, still can make mistakes. It's still possible to do anything against them, and hope that really happens as we have a relatively close round. This time around, Kuda makes the mistake. Pixels does get the no slide. Spark flies off, and this is a great opportunity now for LaFish fan club to get an ace on their side. Kimi has to respawn while leading the field. Spark gets the overtake on him with that. Kuda is still at the bottom, but it's another victory for LaFish fan club. It could have been an ace, but that respawn from Kimi, throw it away, but it's still advantage, and I believe they still will take it than Volby being ahead once again.
I mean, LaFish fan club have got a handy lead on this one, and this may be a map in LaFish's favor, but if Kuda and Spark can finally get their ending sorted, they may be able to still take this out and put it up to a 3-0. We will have to see at the start of this round. We do have Kimmy up the front with Spark and Kuda in close pursuit as they do head through the grass. It's still a relatively close fight. Pixels is about a second behind, but Pixels should be able to recover towards the end of the map. Through the bobsled, really clean. Spark able to overtake, get the early drift to line up, and that is not going to help his speed against Kimmy. He is going to lose a bit of margin as we do head towards the identity. Spark is actually able to overtake for a moment. Both of them taking different drifts, and Spark's going to get that inside line, knowing he has to risk into the identity, actually hits it cleanly, and it's going to be Kuda in that third position trying to move past Kimmy. But Pixels is right there as well. Pixels is not going to... Oh, Pixels is going to get that much cleaner than Kuda. Kuda bonking on the CP, and that is going to be a draw.
Yeah, Kuda not having the best performance on this map so far. He has made a mistake on every single round except the very first one, and it's starting to cost Volby a bunch of rounds as Pixel gets an early mistake right here. We saw that in the last couple of rounds where, wait, Spark made a mistake as well. He clipped the side of the pool, is completely thrown off the correct line, and now is in a duel with Pixels at the bottom for a third position so far, while Kimi and Kuda are currently fighting for the round win on who can be taking the advantage in this round so far. Kuda trying to not get his second round with no mistake in this matchup to make the match sway in favor of Volby, but Kimi is just beside him. Kimi has been playing relatively consistent except that one respawn where he was leading as well. We'll see what happens. Both of them trying to play it safe, trying to do a small release before the uphill to reduce the speed a bit more. Kuda flies out, gets the momentum well, but it's not enough. He does manage to get the finish, but Pixels is 8 seconds away, but the fact that Kimi managed to get the lead in the round will still result in a draw, and it will still be an advantage for LaFish fan club.
6-4 is definitely not the favorable position for Vobi here. And you could see the pressure mounting on those guys. Mistakes coming out through that identity. Slowdown being one of the easier identities in the pack, and you can feel the pressure there, where all of these really good players of the region are all just failing this identity. It's unfortunate to see, but you can feel the pressure as they know what's at stake here. Vobi already has the victory, but they're now losing this map, and with that clip, Spark is going to be moving to the back of the pack. You can see Pixels and Kimmy are now getting their groove in, and they are currently on top of each other, trying to hold that pace. It is a very close fight, considering.
There was a mistake from Kimmy, and Kuda is also trying to force it out. He gets the clip, he gets the no slide from the side of the U-turn right there, and puts him out of the round so far. Pixels currently is leading the field. He has been looking with the shakiest player of the duo in this matchup so far. Spark trying to risk it, trying to get the overtake so far. Pixels behind. Spark has more speed, and it's gonna be Spark overtaking Pixels and Kimmy. It's gonna be another draw, but Kuda crashing out in that round does make it still a disadvantageous position so far for Vobi on this map. And now LeFish is one ace away from potentially taking their first map win so far.
3 points away, that's an ace, so Kuda knows that the pressure is mounting. They've got to get 5 points. And 5 points is an ace and a victory, and if they can get that, they're going to be taking that third map. But right now, judging from Kuda's consistency on this map, this is not a map in his favor. And as such, never mind. He is currently in second place over Kimmy, but Kimmy is dueling it out on the bobsled. Kuda knows what's at stake here, and he is going to be having to risk every round, knowing that Kimmy has that consistency, and everything comes down to the identity. Making sure you can actually hit the identity is exactly where it's at as they do head into the identity. Kuda gets a small clip, and that means Pixels is going to be able to overtake and move into the second position. Overbreaking to make sure he doesn't get that air time. Still ahead of Kuda. Kuda's not going to be able to catch up. Pixels will be in that second position, but that is a victory in Vobi's favor, and that is 7-8, still up for the fish.
If they basically mimic this round once again, it's gonna be then tied, and it's could be coming down to a southern round, but that victory still put LeFish in a position where if LeFish gets a victory or an ace, they will be taking their first map win. So Vobi really needs to get an ace either on their end as well, which can result at 3-0 so far. Early mistake from Pixels puts Vobi in a great position to get the ace and deny LeFish fan club the map, despite having advantage on the entirety of the map for all of the rounds so far. Kimmy is trying to attack, trying to deny the ace. Spark is bit out of the field. He had a small release right there, but he's still very close into the field. Kimmy trying to do something against, but Kuda and Spark are trying to keep the ace going. Kuda trying to keep it safe, trying to risk it. Kimmy risks it, hits the side. Spark and Kuda are gonna be acing this round and denying the map win from LeFish fan club, with both players doing 57s so far, and it's gonna be enough to put themselves in a 3-0 lead in this grand final.
Everything can flip in the last round. I did call this earlier, and that is 3-0 for Vobi. The fish has got to be fuming. I know their manager, Rezi, is not going to be... He's going to be excited. He's going to be celebrating. He's going to pop a bottle of champagne, as Vobi will be one step closer to taking out this regional as we move into Pixel's home ground, Aeropipes.
Well, last match definitely against Mujiki, they were looking very consistent on Aeropipes, but now they have to do something really crazy if LeFish wants to stay in. They have to do a reverse sweep against Vobi. Currently, the only best performing team against Vobi has been Mujiki during the entirety of the regionals, where they were the ones to take 2 maps away from them, and they need to kind of have to beat that record so far. And we'll have to see what has happened here and now, because LeFish are on their last, basically, map life. They have to take 4 map wins in a row, and for something to happen, but there has been a pause happening so far.
Yeah.
Has there been a small a bit of an internet issue by one of the players.
Not a
But
good
yeah,
thing.
what are your thoughts? Could like LeFish possibly take it, and is there comeback possible for them?
I would say in this case, probably not. Judging from the fact that Voby's been 3 up, able to pull back on slowdown, it is not a good case for LeFish. LeFish have to play perfectly on this map. They can't drop a single round because the moment they drop a single round, Voby are going to pounce on that and get those points. It is going to be a close fight as we do go back into round 1. Honestly, as much as I want to see LeFish do well, I think it is just GG on this map, judging from Voby's consistency.
Really?
Really?
But we'll see what happens. Spark not having the best of starts, and with Kuda so far. Pixels and King are currently on the favorable ace so far as well, but we have seen the LeFish can do some solid openers. Kimmy slides out, gets the release on the well slime while having full grip, which causes the gear to cancel and causes a slide out so far. Puts him out of this round at least pre-identity, but there's still 2-second gap, literally 1 respawn away, and it can be a complete dent in Voby's placement so far. As Pixels currently is trying to keep the lead, but Kuda is pushing on pace, gets the overtake so far. Spark is right there as well, despite trying to play safe. Gets the mistake from the other player. Kuda makes a mistake on side of things. Spark gets the overtake on his teammates so far. Still, it's an ace position for Voby, but we have seen LeFish fan club being quite consistent on this, but not this time around. Spark gets the first jump. Kimmy gets the second one, and it's gonna be Kuda messing up the second part. Where is Pixels? Pixels is also not struggling on this one, and it's gonna be Kuda instead taking the third position, and it's gonna be on map 4 on potential winning map points. It's gonna be Voby taking the advantage on the first round.
Oh, that's not good. I called this Pixel stomping ground, but after that performance, you can tell he is under a lot of pressure, knowing that Voby can be this consistent. Spark proving that he can get through the identity well has also got to scare Pixels. Pixels we've seen perform the identity really well. That's one of the first times across the regional that we've seen him mess up the identity, and he's got to be fuming knowing that this is the match round for Voby. Voby could literally just take this and run with it. But if Pixels can get that recovery, pull himself together, get through that identity, they might still have a chance. But that was not a good round for Pixels.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a good round here as well, as both Voby players are currently on a 1-2 and aiming for an ace, while Kimmy and Pixels are completely out of this round again. Kimmy has a small mess up. Despite Spark having a small touch as well, he still maintains in the top 2 positions, as he's currently fighting with Pixels a bit now, as with a small touch a bit snowball, but Kuda still leading. Kuda hasn't been looking that consistent on the identity so far, but not this round. He managed to get it. Where is Pixels? Pixels had to respawn. Spark had to get the finish as well, and it's gonna be an ace for Voby, and it's gonna be now a 5-1 lead for them, and they're literally 2 aces away from taking away their first regional.
You can that round was interesting because Pixels actually moved into the second position off a touch that Spark did, but it did not help in the end. Pixels messed up the identity, and as I said, the pressure's getting to him. So that was an ace, and that is definitely going to help Voby out. 5-1 up on the final map. LeFish knows they're going to get 3 aces to make sure that they can block out Voby. If they can't, it's GG. We go to the end screens and Voby wins and moves on for the victory, essentially, for Regional 1. It's not a good sign for LeFish.
This round, Kuda had an early blunder. And so far, no major mistakes from LeFish's side, and Kimmy is even leaving the... Oh yeah, very unfortunate line right there, but still, one mistake from Spark, and it can be an ace on the side of LeFish so far. But Kuda is trying to really push for the pace. He's starting to catch up on Pixels, at least prior to the identity. Kimmy as well, trying to increase his pace, trying to make it a quite frustrating and annoying for Spark. But it's down to identity. First jump. Spark misses it. There's a respawn from Kuda and Spark. Kimi gets it. Pixels has to respawn. Kuda and Spark in the middle. Kuda messes up. Pixels mess it up. Spark makes it. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be a draw for Volby and Lefish. What a weird finish, honestly, from Pixels. What was that?
That's what we like to refer in the industry as style points. He knew that he had no chance, but he's like, you know what? I'm just going to bounce and cause some style. Bang, that's a draw. Does not matter. 6-2 in Volby's favor. 4 more points before they become our champions. And I believe that was a Kuda mess. That's a double Kuda mess up. He bonked, went through, flew off. He is out of the round so far. It's going to be a hard fight for him to catch up.
Yeah, but thankfully, because a very consistent teammate right beside him, Spark, definitely trying to a bit of the main carry of the team, like literally trying to, just with his consistency, putting his team in front of Lefish in most of the rounds, not having that many mistakes, as currently Pixels and Kimi are in the top winning position scenario so far, but the identity is still ahead of us. Pixels is trying to catch up on Spark right now. Kimi is still leading the position, but Kimi in this match, in this specific match, has not gotten the identity in one shot so far. We'll see what happens now as we approach the identity in this round. Kimi gets it, Spark gets it, Pixels gets it, and the second pipe, Kimi and Pixels gets it, and they get their first ace in this map. On this match, and it's gonna be now 6-5 scoreline, literally just 1 point difference so far on this map.
1 point separating the two, and that is going to be handy for them, knowing that the margin is closing. As I said, this is Pixel's stomping ground, so he's gonna come back now and be like, hey, I'm now here to play. I'm not gonna be screwing around anymore. Those points are gonna rack up, and hopefully Lefish will be able to take a map before Volby just walks away with the 4-0.
Yeah, but it's still a good opportunity. Volby is basically they need an ace and a victory. That's what they need on their end to finish it off in 2 rounds. But if Lefish fan club get 2 aces as well, they're gonna be jumping to the next map as well. But so far, not looking as the best start so far, as Pixels has an early mistake with unfortunate start right there so far, but it's a pretty close fight at the top. We have seen so many mess-ups from the Volby team, maybe except Kuno for 1 or 2 rounds, but Kuda has been the main inconsistent player so far in the duo as Kimi messes it up, and it's a great opportunity now for Spark and Kuda to get the ace in this match. The rest of their opponents are more than 1 second ahead, so if they save it, it's still possible to ace it quite easily. But we'll see, it's Aero Pipes after all. Kuda messes it up, Spark gets it. It's gonna be a win for Spark. Kimi tries to turtle into the finish, but Kuda sneaks themselves just in front of Kimi, and it's gonna be a victory in front for Volby, and Volby are now 1 victory or ace away from winning this grand final and the first regional, and it could be ending in this round.
Understandably, like, it was a weird round to say the least. The fact that there was little mistakes here and there, and then suddenly on the Aero Pipes everything flipped on its head. It wasn't necessarily 2 aces, it was an ace and a draw. But now we're at an ace and a victory, and Volby will be your first Apac regional champions. And Kuda is now pulling out the big guns in that first position. One of them has to be first place. And Pixels eats a lot of snow. Admittedly, they don't get snow where he's from. And that means that Kuda is able to run away into the lead. Spark now moves into that second position. It's going to be a close fight between these guys. And that's a clip from Kimi. And he is going to be going back. Pixels is now fighting, trying to move his way into first position to stop these two from getting that ace to take it all. Kuda's currently in the lead, Spark is in a close pursuit, but it's not going in his favor as Pixels does get the gear down at the very end, and it's going to be Kuda and Spark at the front. Comes down to the Aero Pipes, Pixels fails. Kuda and Spark right behind each other, 1 and 2. Your first APAC regional champions are Volby. Congratulations, Kuda and Spark. What a match.
Very dominant performance from them in this grand final. They only dropped 2 maps during the entirety of the regional, and none in the grand finals. LaFish has been looking quite inconsistent, and Volby took that to their advantage, and they'll be the first APAC regional winners. Of course, this was just the first regional. We'll have 2 more during this stage as well. So Volby will be rewarded with 7 World Tour points, while LaFish Fan Club, with taking second in this regional, will be rewarded with 5, at a bit of prize money for both teams as well. This definitely now kind of give a good glimpse in what's going to be happening, or what could APAC scene deliver, as this was just literally the starting point.
Indeed, and as we go and look at the final brackets, we are just waiting for the update, and once we have the update, we should be fine. As we see, we do have LaFish there. They haven't been moved up yet, but LaFish were able to take out that match, and obviously we saw Volby getting their win 4-0 quite handily. My prediction was correct. Volby did pull through, and Rezi is going to be celebrating with his duo tonight, and that is going to be exciting. For one of the first organizations in Asia and OCE to be officially signed into our region, taking out their first tournament, that's going to be looking really good for Volby.
Yeah, but now let's have a look on what the macro scale, what does this look like? So at the moment, Volby is the #1 team from APAC so far, but during stage 1, there's 2 more regionals, and there's also matchmaking that will be rewarding with points. So the top 2 teams from this region will be going to the TMCL Promo Relegation Tournament against other top regional teams and bottom 2 TMCL teams. So it kind of give an insight or a good starting ground for LaFish Fan Club and Volby to be in this tournament contention positions. But also #1 team is currently looking as Volby for that All-Star match spot as well at the start of stage 2. And if you are from Asia, Oceania, or eastern part of Russia, would be awesome to see you take part in this regional, which will next regional is going to be starting in 3 weeks, as all regionals take part. We'd love to see more new faces, especially Australians. Despite Australians having the biggest player base in Trackmania from this region, we only saw 1 player taking part in this regional, so it was much a shame there, but would love to see that more opportunities, more representation, more teams joining in these regionals as well.
I mean, it's not really fair to the fact that we've only got 1 Australian, considering the fact I can't compete, because otherwise I'd be casting myself going, whoa, look at this Edamame guy driving. As much as I want to compete, I do enjoy casting, and I love seeing all the action right here on the Trackmania channel. And just remember, folks, coming up after this, we have day 2 of the EU regionals. We're going to be seeing the top 32 teams, I believe, competing.
Top 8.
Top 8. My apologies. Top 8 teams are going to be competing soon to fight for their spot for the champion of the EU regional. That's coming up. And as well this evening, we have the Trackmania Champions League. We're going to... No, Grand League. Grand League tonight. I had my dates all wrong. I think it's yesterday. Grand Leagues tonight. We're going to be seeing the best of the best competing. You're going to be seeing the hard versions of the maps. You're going to be seeing the best players trying to fight for their top spots as well. So make sure you're staying tuned to this channel, as all of that's going to go off soon. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah, if you want to take part in these regionals, make sure to do so. Love to see more and more teams taking part, also not only for APAC but other scenes as well. And there's still a lot of places to grow. This has been only the start. This has been only the first regional. There's going to be 2 more in the stage, and then we have a whole another stage afterwards. Top teams get rewarded, so make sure to take part. And hope everyone has fun with these events, because a lot of people have been enjoying it, and a lot of people in the broadcast side of things as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for us then. And make sure to check out the EU regional that's going to be happening in around 3 hours or so. But yeah, exactly on this channel, so definitely give a follow for this channel as well. And yeah, that's basically it from my end.
Perfect. And I've loved casting these guys for the last 2 days. Thank you everyone for showing your support for the APAC region. We are one of the smaller regions, but as you saw from some of those performances, we've got some excellent talent in this region. You might be seeing me again. You may see your favorite host, your Thunder from Down Under, your beautiful Australian caster, Edamame TV, coming up in future casts. Joining me, obviously, tonight was SRK. We might be seeing formal casts again. I know you guys love formal casting. He should be back around as well, so stick around for that. But signing off, I've been Edamame, this has been SRK, and we'll see you guys next time!